That is the key. Kirk Shelmerdine with us on the VF Goodrich Tires hotline and operates his own race team up in Welcome, North Carolina. Dale Earnhardt's championship crew chief in the Cup Series 4 different times back in the 80s. And Kirk, a guy I've always admired. And Kirk, as Chocolate and I have talked through this over the last couple of weeks here on the radio, and I think it occurred to both of us around the same time. This was an opportunity for a guy like you. We've had Joe Nemechek, Tommy Baldwin, Boris said just here telling us, yep, that's right. You can look at it now and say, okay, there will be open spots at most of these races. And I remember it was, I think back in '04 when you tried to make most of the races. I think you ran 18 times in '04. Kind of similar economic times in a lot of ways for the sport then. So you can go do this maybe for a couple of $1 million over the course of the season. And even if you come home last every week, you could actually make some money at the end of the year. Is that the way you're kind of looking at it right now?
Well, the sponsorship we're asking for is around that figure. I don't really think you can do it like for that. We have some other supporters, and I have some partners and actually own part of my team, and you know, they're anteing up a good bit too. So that enables us to offer the sponsorship that cheaply. But I mean, I hear a lot of guys right now saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to go do the races this year. There's going to be a lot of spots." Well, I don't think they know how tough it is and how expensive it actually is. And 2 months into the season, they'll all be scratching themselves and wonder what happened. I think because in 2004 we did do that, and the next couple of years it was a pretty steep learning curve, and we made about every mistake a car owner could make, I think, and there's a lot of pitfalls, and there's a lot of things you really got to watch, and even to be able to do it at the level we do it, it's tough to pull off, and I bet a few of those that are talking right now about doing it are not going to have the staying power it'll take.
Kirk, you know, you talk about how tough it is, and listen, it's tough for Jimmy Johnson, and on a good day, it's tough for those guys. You talk about, and they have unlimited resources. Why? And what makes you go back to the racetrack? You know how tough it's going to be. You know how hard it's going to be. You know there's going to be those days when you're all excited and you got to load that stuff up and come home. Why would you continue to do this?
Well, that's a good question. I guess if we really thought clearly about it, we'd all be doing something else. But somebody said the hard part's what makes it great. You know, and if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. But there's a lot of cliches you can say about it. But really, if we go out there and beat anybody, there's no limit to the satisfaction you can get from something like that. I mean, knowing your stuff and just using experience and very limited resources, like you say, and if we pull anything off at all, it's super huge. And there, you know, you can walk around with your head up knowing that there's not many people on the planet that could do that. And I guess there's some of the payoff. And we make a living at it too.
There you go. Kirk Shelmerdine with us on the BF Goodrich Tires hotline. So is it fair to say that at this point, now that the new Cup car has been, this will be the third season for it, you're able to go and get a couple of cars from an existing team at a good price, or did you lease stuff, or how does it, give us a little insight as to how you put this plan together?
Well, since the economic times are like they are, it's sort of a unique thing. There's been a lot of teams closing up and a lot of teams liquidating their cars and things, parts and equipment and all for a pretty good price. That's not always the case. And so, you know, right now the way things went this winter, you can get some pretty good buys on some things. But still, the cars get obsolete pretty fast. And the car tomorrow is not a cure-all as far as I can go buy the same car Jimmy Johnson has. In truth, the cars I get are probably have never been any farther away from the front cars than they are. They may be a little closer on the stopwatch, but technologically and you know, the resources they have to use to be able to make them be number one, those things are now pretty unattainable for guys like us. So the gap is still pretty wide, and we have to realize what our place in the system is and go at it like that.
Kirk, you know, I tell you, I've talked to a lot about the economic times and talked about some of these race teams that I think right now that they think they can win a race, and they spend money like a Hendrick or a Childress or a Gibbs or a Roush, and they go test and they do all the things that the Big Four or the Big Five are doing, but in reality they don't have a chance to win a race. when you go to the racetrack, you know that you probably can't win the race. What do you go to the racetrack to accomplish?
Right now, I'll tell you the truth, we're happy to be in the races. You know, they're tough to qualify for, whether you have 46 cars show up or whether you have 66 cars show up. Either way, it's just as tough to qualify for. And this is still, this race series is the top of the heap. I mean, it doesn't get any better. These are the big guys. The big guns are out there. And if we do anything noteworthy, it's really an accomplishment. So that's the challenge for us. You know, we know we're not going to win the championship. We know we're probably not going to win any races unless, there's a tornado or something. But it's still worth going. There's still the things we can accomplish are just as big for us as winning a race is for some of those other guys. I guess any business is probably the same, but in racing there's really a lot of difference between perception and reality as to what you're capable of doing, and once you can get a realistic view of that, it kind of changes your plan of action quite a bit.
Kirk Shelmerdine, our guest on the BF Goodrich Tires Hotline. And Kirk, before we let you go, one of the questions that we get a lot, and it occurred to me, I knew you were going to be on with us today, and we appreciate you taking time as you get ready to go to Daytona. Why not the Nationwide Series for a company like yours? Why not the Truck Series? Why not ARCA? I know you've run some ARCA races over the years. What is it, if you're going to tilt at windmills, wouldn't it be better if you tilted at a slightly smaller windmill, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, the bigger the better, Nobody wants to slay a baby dragon. You might as well go after the granddaddy. If you're gonna exercise utility, why not do it big, That's kind of where we are. But,
that's the racer's attitude right there, I would say.
Somewhere there's a Powerball winner lottery guy, or there's a sponsor, or there's a small company, or there's somebody out there that's going to want to join the crusade with us, and we're looking forward to having a really fun season. We may not win a lot. Back in '04, we made 21 out of the 36 races, and we think we can do that well again and improve on that. We can improve maybe on our 20th place finish at the Daytona 500. Maybe we can improve on our 41st or 2nd, whatever it was, in points that year. There's a lot of things that we can do better than we did in the past, and have a heck of a lot of fun doing it. So there's our goals.
All right, Kirk, for the person out there listening, for the Powerball winner that's listening, for the guy that has the small company listening.
You can't be a car owner in the Cup Series.
How do they get in touch?
Guy or whatever you want to be.
How do they get in touch with Kirk Shelmerdine?
There's a website, KirkShelmerdine.com. We don't have a marketing agency or anybody to call, so we've got a couple of supporters and sponsors. Lilly Trucking. There's LillyTruckingofVirginia.com. There's Wabash Oil Production, Wabash Motorsports. They have a website. Or, you can call up the shop. It's in the book.
You can probably talk to the proprietor if you call the shop, right?
Yeah, well, I got an answering machine, but somebody doesn't actually listen to it, believe it or not.
Now, one of the other things that people may need to recognize with you, you don't have to pay a driver, right? You're going to drive your own car again, aren't you?
There's there's my answer for why you still do this at your age. I
wasn't going to bring age up.
Quite a long time. So, but yeah, not having to pay a driver is a big thing in the budget, And we use other guys some of the time. Tom Hubert drives road races for us, and he's pretty much of a ringer out there at Sears Point, and does a super job and out-qualifies a lot of really good teams when we do those races. And Ted Christopher, we've been using him up at New Hampshire. He can beat half the field out there blindfolded. So
there you go.
He does a good job there for us sometimes. So we're pretty diverse in our driver department too.
We like that. We like that a lot. TC won a race. We were talking about it earlier at Atlantic City this weekend indoors. So you got a good guy there wheeling for you, no question. Well, Kirk, best of luck this year. We look forward to seeing you at the racetrack week in, week out. I know you'll make a bunch of them this year.
Well, I hope so, and either way, we'll be having a blast.
All right. You don't forget to check on that stuff for me now.
All right, I'll have to ask him all about that.
Kirk Shelmerdine, he runs his own Cup Series team. They'll be in action starting at Daytona. Joining us today here on Sirius NASCAR Radio on the BF Goodrich Tires Hotline. We appreciate Kirk's time very much because, one of the guys that's doing it with a few fellas in the shop and 16 days to go.
Listen, Kirk Shelmerdine's shop is on the Richard Jones Racing property. It's across the street. He's got a little building over there, and I'm riding by this morning,